Welcome to the first ever CRFFL 2025 recap show brought to you by Michael Stemler and
Will Howard.
Ah!
Oh, welcome back, Mikael. It is beautiful to see you on the other side of my screen. It has been a long off season, and I have been waiting to get back into this. I don't know about you,
I have been just like jonesing for
Jonesing.
some Crossroads Fantasy Football League. I think that we have a great season ahead of us. I think take a quick second to congratulate Tori on her victory last year. But as we know, last year's in the past, baby, and every season is a new season, and a new
Exactly.
day is here, and the sunrise has risen, and it's time to get after it, baby.
Exactly. We just finished our draft a few days ago. We had some ups, we had some downs, we had some pausing because of reckless driving. We had some card games that are sweeping the nation apparently that were played. And we're going to spend this first time as we get ready for week 1 that starts 2 days from now. We're going to review each team, who they picked up, and we're going to just talk about what tickles our fancy, what gets our just thighs a chafing, and what kind of gets our butthole clenching.
Oh, I like it. So let's just go ahead and jump in. I think you've got the first team, so you go ahead
Yes.
with your breakdown.
We're going to go with Mr. Sean Melton, aka his team name is Back That Pass Up. Now, Sean somehow fumbled his way into the first round pick. I myself gave myself the second round pick, but he starts off keeping an absolute baller, Justin Jefferson, one of the top, not a first overall pick, but definitely an easy top 5 pick. Follows it up with the number 1 overall pick of Bijan Robinson. Right there, that is your unbelievably amazing wide receiver 1 and running back 1. So I think that is where his strength is high. He has 2 of probably the highest producing players in the entire draft altogether. Now, where some of the things that kind of make me a little nervous, quarterback, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray. Dak Prescott, bum. Kyler Murray, you don't know. It might be a Call of Duty weekend, and he's an absolute dud. On top of that, his remaining wide receivers are unproven. Tyreek Hill, we don't know how he's going to do. Mike Evans, getting a little bit older, but I am hopeful with him. You got McMillan, rookie. Don't know how he's going to do. Egbuka, rookie. Don't know how he's going to do. So I would say overall for Sean, I think I give him like a B minus. He's got some stars, but he's also got some duds, I think.
Mm, I like that breakdown a lot. Just first glance from me, just looking at his team, I think a lot rides on Tyreek Hill. I
Mm,
think that he can have a good season. I think Sean's going to be in the driver's seat for some good production. So
yes.
moving on to the next team, which will be big old Tumnus.
Mm,
So here we go.
mm.
I mean, Will, looking at your team, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I feel like you're kind of in the middle here. Um yeah, I mean Gibbs, we'll see how he performs. I think that's a big what if. I don't know, you got Patty Mahomes. I don't know, man. If I'm being honest, I feel like your team's kind of vanilla. That's that would be my feeling. There's nothing that jumps out at me. And if I had to make some guesstimates about your team this year, I think you're gonna have to hit the waivers. I think you're gonna have to kind of make some moves, maybe make some trades to move up the leaderboard. But hey, I think last year you did a lot with a little, and so I think your coaching and your game man and your roster management skills are proven. So I'm not counting you out at all. But just from first glance, there's nothing that jumps out to me as a red flag, but there's nothing that jumps out to me as a green flag. So I think you had some picks that didn't fall your way, and it looks like you kind of maybe had to make some moves. I think that Bucky Irving was a decent keeper. I think Gibbs is a strong first round pick for you. Higgins, I don't know how I feel about that in the third round. Um, Jamar Chase, the number 1 receiver there with Higgins. I just feel like maybe there were some other people on the board. I wish you would have maybe taken a risk on there. Again, not a bad pick, but not a great pick. So I don't know. We'll see. That's kind of how I feel about your team, and that I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but
I
that's
think
where
I think overall you're smoking fat penis. Let's be honest. I'm pulling out all the stops. Bucky Irving and Jameer Gibbs solid 2 running back. Bucky Irving's going to have an amazing season. T. Higgins had an amazing season last season. He will continue to do, as Joe Burrow likes to throw to multiple people. JSN is now the number 1 person in Seattle. I think he's going to do great. Now, don't get me wrong, Sam Laporta, I wanted Terry McBride. I got cucked by Tori. Thank you, Tori. But Sam Laporte is still solid. The Lions are still solid. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback to have as your main quarterback. And my game plan is I picked up Jordan Addison in the 13th round. When he serves his suspensions, he's probably going to go up into my flex. And on top of that, at the very bottom, I have Shedeur Sanders showing the watch. So I've automatically won everything. I give myself an A++. Moving on, though, now I get to review yours. And...
Ooh.
You know, you got Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was, I think, by far the number 1 receiver. Like, that was the right person to keep. I know you had a chance to trade for the number 1 overall. I think that would have been a good trade from what I heard. But Chase is, I think, the best receiver. If you weren't going to go for Bijan, if you weren't going to go for Gibbs, you go for Jamar Chase. And I think that was smart. Following it up with A.J. Brown, George Pickens, Travis Hunter, and Rashee Rice. Your wide receiver, it's heavily on Chase. I think AJ Brown can be decent. Sometimes he just doesn't get the numbers that you want, surprisingly. Same thing that I feel with Rashee Rice. And then I just don't think Pickens is good. I think he's a bum. I think anyone on Dallas is a bum. And Travis Hunter, I think he's going to be used primarily in defense. So there's a risk there. Going over to your running backs, Breece Hall and Hubbard, and David Montgomery, Austin Eckler, Chubb, Mixon, and Scatabo. I'm not going to lie. I think you were cooking in the beginning. Brock Bowers, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, and then you just kind of shit your pants in the middle of the kitchen. I don't see it there. Your running game, I don't see it. I don't think Breece Hall is going to be great. I made that mistake, and it cost me. Hubbard, anyone from Carolina, no offense, I know you're a Carolina fan. They're bums. David Montgomery is going to be a shadow behind Gibbs. And then the rest are just kind of fodder. So I think that you overall need to do some trades. You need to get some running backs. Maybe trade one of your okay wide receivers for maybe a better running back.
All right. Sounds great. I appreciate that criticism. I receive it, and I listen, and I don't judge. All right, here we are. We're moving on to Tori Melton, the defending champ.
The defending champ.
I look at her team, I look at her draft. I don't feel bad, but I don't feel great. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is going to be a first round pick like he was taken. I know everybody's projecting to be a first round pick, but I feel the way you just said about the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak is going to mail it in this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're already in shambles with Parsons leaving. I think that was like a death blow to the team out the gate as Micah Parsons is out of here, traded Green Bay, and I think the rest of the team is just going to be in the can. So, I mean, CeeDee Lamb could get some garbage yards, but I really just don't feel good about the Dallas Cowboys season. And I think with Tori taking him in the first round, I think that could be bad for her team. The rest of her team's not bad. Williams and Hurts, I feel good about Hurts. He gets a lot of goal line carries with the tush push. So I think that was a good pickup for your quarterback. If you're going to go quarterback in the third round, he's the quarterback you want to go with. So, I don't feel bad about that pick. I just think that CeeDee Lamb is not going to produce what he needs to produce. And if you don't have Katie Anderson, will tell you out the gate. Now, she had a run in the late season, but if your first round pick doesn't produce, it's going to be hard to win games. And she experienced that last year with CMC, who she kept, which we'll get to that later. But I just don't know if CeeDee Lamb's going to produce first round pick. So, in Neighbors, he's going to have a rookie throwing to him. So, I mean, unless they start Russell Wilson, which, who knows what's going on there. So, again, I think that her wide receiving core is just up in question because the quarterback's throwing to them. Your wide receiver is only as good as your quarterback's throwing to them. AKA last year, Devontae Adams was terrible because Aaron Rodgers was throwing to him. So anyway, that's how I feel about her. So yeah. So there we go. That's my breakdown. Moving on.
I kind of agree with you on that. I just want to quickly say, the big thing is she went for CeeDee Lamb, and I just look at who was picked after that. St. Brown from Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I like St. Brown more than
I like him better.
He's got he's got Golf thrown, or he's got Stafford thrown to him.
Yeah, exactly. And then third round, you pick
Golf.
third round, you pick up a quarterback, and the next quarterback wasn't picked up until the 6th round. So think about who she missed there. T. Higgins, JSN, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill were the next 4 wide receivers. Literally 4 wide receivers back to back to back to back after that quarterback pick. I think you could have strengthened your wide receiver pool by getting someone better or waiting on the quarterback.
Yeah. All right, moving on. You got Rev Kev up next.
Rev Kev. I think I have Gordon. You have Rev Kev.
Oh, I have Rev Kev. Oh, yeah, you're going to Gordon.
I have Gordon. Miss your Gordon. I'm not going to lie. I do not know. I will say this with a stipulation. I do not know what his previous team was, who he had for keepers. But I think keeping Jaden Daniels is kind of wild. I don't know if your running backs were trash. I don't know if your wide receivers were trash. If they were, then Jaden Daniels is fine, and all of this can be taken out of the assessment. But what I will judge you on is I do think a first-round overall pick for Genty is a little risky, especially when you had Puka, you had Nico Collins, you had HEN, you had more proven people. Now, is Genty a first-round pick in a dynasty league? 100%. I am playing a dynasty league. I had the first overall pick. I picked Genty, but it's kind of one of those things. I think he's a beast. I don't know if I would have went first round overall with him. Go further moving on though, DK Metcalf, your wide receivers, I love. Ladd McConkey, I'm very mad. I wanted Ladd McConkey. I was planning on picking him up in the 3rd round if he fell to me, and if you didn't pick him, looking at how the draft went, I probably would have gotten him, and I would have been very happy. Ladd McConkey is going to be a beast with the Chargers and has a very good person throwing to him. DK Metcalf, I think, is going to do great. DJ Moore is going to do fantastic. Like, what your strengths right now, I think the quarterback is a strength. I think Jaden Daniels is fantastic. Your wide receivers are a strength. Your main 2 running backs of being Genty and Kamara, they're kind of like both sides of the coin of like Genty is brand new, so there's a risk. How's he going to do moving up into the league? I think he's a beast, but again, first round overall pick. You could have maybe gotten him in the 2nd round, possibly. Kamara, older. Is he going to do well in New Orleans? New Orleans kind of looks like it's just slowly tanking down. So we'll see. And then tight end, Zach Ertz and Njoku. I mean, tight ends don't mean that much, but you didn't get great tight ends out of this. So that's kind of my overall assessment. Okay, but I think you could have done better.
Yeah, my quick thought is I think Genty as your first round pick is a stretch. And I think whenever the big bowl game last year was there, Genty kind of folded under the pressure, and he's in the big boy leagues now. He's not playing at Boise State. He's playing with the big boys. He's not in the Mountain West Conference. So I don't know. Risky pick, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, moving on. Rev Kev. I would say with Rev Kev, all I'm seeing is he's trying to reproduce what he did last year.
Yes.
Literally trying to draft the same people. So
yes.
I think that if obviously but at the same time, can I critique that? Because he had a great season. He had a great season, and he kind of folded in the end. So
he did.
So we'll see. Obviously, probably kept the best player you can keep. St. Brown, great pick in this first round. Lamar Jackson, again, if you're going to take a QB in the 3rd round, he's one of the ones you're going to take. Basically, the 2 QBs you would take in the 3rd round were taking Jackson and Hurts, and he got one of them. Cook, he just signed a big contract, and traditionally, when running backs sign big contracts, they have a down year. So my eyes are on Cook to see how is he going to perform this season for the Bills, because he just got paid. And when the man gets paid, they usually don't perform. So that would be my red flag for Kevin. But if you're trying to reproduce what you did last year, I can't really knock it because you had a good season. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Kevin looks good. I would say the one thing with the Cook is if Cook isn't producing, Connor's looking at it last year, his stats, he didn't have a game less than, his worst game was 12.47 points, which is still a solid amount of points. You would want more for your running backs, but you kind of have a good stopgap. Team looks scary. My timbers are shivered.
All right, we're moving on. You got Heather up next.
Moving on to Heather. I just got one thing to say. if you trade Puka or get rid of Puka and your husband picks him up, I'm calling the commissioner, I'm calling the authorities, FBI, CIA, I'm calling all the anagrams, all the letters, because this game's rigged. Do not let go of Puka this time. Anyways, as I was, back to our full assessment. Keeps Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a solid quarterback. I would say, for me, the 3 quarterbacks you keep, Joe Burrow's, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen, to me, are like, those would be the ones that you go early. And then I think there's a drop-off. I think then it's Hurts and Jaden Daniels, and then I think there's even further a drop-off. That's why I picked up Patrick Mahomes where I did. So Joe Burrow's great. Puka is fantastic. I don't know about Wilson. It really depends on how
Quarterback.
It really depends on how Fields does. But to be fair, though, Garrett Wilson did fantastic with the situation he was in last year. So there is a good upside to that. I really like your running backs. I think Hampton is a great pick, especially picking him up in the 5th round. Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh loves to run his running backs. I think he's going to do fantastic. And I think Jonathan Taylor is also a good pickup. You also got you got Cooper Kupp, who is a good sneaky pick. I think he might have another good year with Seahawks. I think he's going to pair well with JSN. So I have some upsides. I think you have learned from your mistakes. I think you're doing better. Do I think this is a playoff caliber team? No. Do I think this is a relegation battle of who's going to get last? No. So, I think you've improved. Not enough, but you've improved. So I will give you a clap for that.
Solid. All right, moving on to Joel. Obviously, keeping King Henry out the gate. I mean, really, for Joel, there's only one way to go. That's up or last again. So I don't really know. I'm seeing Sutton on here. I'm seeing Evan Ingram on here. I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing Bo Nix on here. I'm seeing a lot of Denver. I'm seeing a lot of orange and blue on this team, which signifies homer picks, which, it is what it is. I don't know. I feel like I got some red flags for this team again. I don't want him to finish last 2 years in a row, but
I do. He made great drinks. Made fantastic drinks.
I just think we got to move on. That's where I'm at. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
We're moving.
I think keeping Derrick Henry is a little bit of a risk. He's still great, but there is going to come a drop off. And I feel like the past few years we've been like, is this going to be the drop off?
He's been trending this way, and with the running backs, it's just plummet.
It's going to drop. And
hopefully it's not this year.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. There's nothing that wows me. There's no needle movers in my humble opinion. I mean,
maybe Bo Nix, but
Bo Nix, yeah. Collins can do good. Brown can do good as well. Marvin Harrison, it really depends on Kyler Murray. If it's double XP weekend on the Call of Duties, that man's not getting any points.
That's right.
And then again, a lot of Denver, and I don't know. I as a Chargers fan, I can't trust Denver personally. So,
sure. All right, moving on.
On to Caleb. I think Caleb personally should have gotten a penalty. I think his 2nd round pick should have been. He should have drafted a kicker because he made us wait for an ungodly amount of time. But overall, he kept Josh Allen. Josh Allen is one of the quarterbacks I would have kept. Josh Allen is a fantastic quarterback option. He's got the backup in CJ Stroud. Don't really need him, but you could use him as trade options for someone who might need someone like maybe maybe like Joel, who has Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy, might be a good option, Wide receivers, Brian Thomas, depends on how Jacksonville does. And I just don't know. Jacksonville had that one good year where they won a playoff game and then they kind of disappeared. So we'll see how it goes. Scary Terry, love him for Washington. Just got paid. Just got his money, which I think he deserves. He's not a fantastic fantasy wide receiver, though. He's a good wide receiver. He just doesn't give you points all the time. But maybe with another year with Jaden Daniels under the helm, he'll feel more comfortable and he'll get more looks. Xavier Worthy, decent pickup. Chris Olave, Don't love it that much. And then your your running backs. You have Etienne. I like him. I don't like Pollard. I don't like NTN. And you have the wrong Robinson. You're supposed to be getting Bijan Robinson. You got Brian Robinson. You got the wrong guy. So overall, I think Caleb has regressed. You do have George Kittle. George Kittle is a baller. Would have I selected? So Bowers was already selected, so I can't fault you on that. I probably would have went with Terry McBride over George Kittle. So I think you kind of left some crumbs in the bed with that one. And I just don't like crumbs in the bed. So overall, I think you regressed. I think you're going to have a little bit of a hard season if you don't get to trading and waiver wires, but we'll see.
We'll see. All right, Katie Anderson. Obviously, the big question was, are you keeping CMC for your first pick? And she did. I think all of her hopes and dreams really rest there. Now, she rallied last year with him out. The one advantage she has is he has a whole season of rest.
Yeah.
He didn't play one game last year. So
that is fair.
This boy better be coming out fresh. The only thing is he going to get hurt game one. So
100%.
It's a scary thing. For her first overall pick, she went Drake London, which I don't know, man. Again, it just comes down to the quarterback situation. Like, he's obviously a talent. He's obviously good, but
yeah. The quarterback situation in Atlanta is just a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
I think one theme I've seen in this league is I feel like people aren't really taking into account the quarterback situation when they're looking for receivers. And I think that is a huge thing that a lot of people need to maybe pay more attention to, is like, it really comes down to, is the quarterback going to throw the ball well? I mean, if you have a bad quarterback, it doesn't matter how good you are. So she went with Baker Mayfield for a quarterback, which was a huge game changer for me. She got him in the 7th round. I don't think that's a bad pick. Devontae Adams in the 5th round, a little questionable there. We'll see what happens there. But really with her, it just comes down to Christian McCaffrey, and is he going to play the full season? And if he is, it could be a boom. It could be a boom team. So
I agree. I think the other thing is she failed. I don't think picking up the 10th round when the first round or the second round was open to you. I personally, if I was in that situation, like, imagine, let's say hypothetically Christian McCaffrey has a great season and she had a running back pairing of a healthy Christian McCaffrey and either a Bijan Robinson or a Jahmyr Gibbs. That would by far, without even a dread of a doubt, would have been the best running back pairing.
It's a good point. I would, because the number 1 pick was open for her.
Exactly. It was open. She could have gotten the best 2 running backs guaranteed.
Because instead she has London instead of Robinson.
And then the remaining, the remaining running backs that she has is Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Mason.
Play that game. Let's just say you want to play that game. And let's say she had the 1 pick and she went Robinson. The wide receivers that went in the first round were Lamb, so she wouldn't have had him. St. Brown wouldn't have had him. A.J. Brown. Puka. Collins. Let's say London goes. Thomas. McConkey.
Let's say she would have had T. Higgins.
You would have maybe had Higgins or Hill. So you would have seen a lineup of McCaffrey, Robinson, and then Higgins or Hill.
I honestly, like, the wide receiver would dip, don't get me wrong, but you would have, again, the best 2 running backs besides maybe Gibbs being higher than, like, if you got Robinson, you would have had the 1st and the 3rd best if McCaffrey's healthy.
But she does have the potential of London and McCaffrey both being boom players. But to your point, you would have had, if she would have had the 1 pick, Bijan Robinson he's a guarantee make. So you would have had a what if and a guarantee. She's got 2 what ifs, which is kind of like a scary thing.
And now this makes me nervous for her, because if, God forbid, McCaffrey gets hurt, you're starting Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker. And that scares me. Scares me. So
okay, well, let's move in to our 3 things.
All right.
So let's start with who lost the draft.
There's a lot. It's hard because I do see some upside to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with I think, sadly, because everyone's pretty solid, I am looking at either Joel or Caleb or Katie. I'm gonna say that Katie survives. I think I'm gonna. Oh man, this is actually really hard. I'm gonna go with Joel.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Joel. Because I think there's a
I
lot of risk.
I don't think that I was going to do this before we just broke it down, but I think I'm going to go Katie.
There's a lot of risk.
I don't think that it means she's going to have a bad season, but I didn't think about the number one pick factor and the fact that she could have CMC and Bijan.
Mm.
I think that's a big miss.
Imagine, just dream with me.
I think that's a big miss by her.
That is a
So I
big miss.
don't think it means her season's in the tank at all. I
Yeah.
think she's going to have a decent season with their lineup, but I think she could have championship contender potential if she would have taken the number one pick.
Okay.
So, all right, who's your sleeper?
My sleeper. Who do I think is going to be sneaking up that ladder? Maybe pulls a Katie, just gets in to the playoffs, and then makes an absolute run to the finals. To me, overall, man, it's hard to think. I would say probably my sneaky pick would be either Sean or Tori. And I think, and I'm not picking myself obviously because I think that's just going to be bias, So I'm taking you and me out. I think it's either Sean or Tori, and I think I'm actually going to be leaning towards Tori. I think CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee Lamb, I still don't love the pick, but CeeDee Lamb could shut me up. And that's fine. And then I look at the other options. I like Kyron Williams. I love Terry McBride. I'm very mad that she took that from me. I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback to pick up. Did she pick it up early? Yes, still a good quarterback. Neighbors, good person to keep. Absolute stud there. So I think there's something moving there. I do think she regressed a little bit. Like, she went from she's doing great to, like, I think she might just sneak in there and then she could get a little bit of luck on her side and move on.
For sure. I think my sleeper is I'm going Heather after doing this. I really I think that she learned a lot last year. And I look at her team. I mean, I like Burrow. I like Puka. I like Jonathan Taylor. I think Garrett Wilson, to your point, overcame a lot last year. And I don't think he's going to experience that this year. I like Zay Flowers. And I really was kind of like down on Kelsey, but like thinking about the tight ends that are out there, he's kind of like the third or fourth best option out there on tight end. Really. I
Yeah.
mean, after Bowers and McBride, Kittle, he's right there. And Mahomes is going to throw it to him.
Yeah.
He's going to get looks. So I agree with you. I don't think she has a championship team, but I think she has a couple of pieces here. And if she can work the waivers well and be on waivers and maybe make a couple trades, she's got some work to do. I think she can make a run. You
Yeah.
know, but I would say she's my sleeper after looking at the team and really diving in doing this. It gives me some hope.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Both of them give me that little tingle of, like,
yeah,
there's
I
something
like
there.
Tori's pick too. And I like Tori's pick. I think your thing with Lamb is like it really comes down to Lamb.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like, both
All
of them.
right,
Yeah. They're doing a little bit.
all right, who's your fave?
I mean, I hate to say it, but Kevin's team does look scary.
Dude, I agree. I hate to say it.
I hate to say it.
I hate it.
He's got
But I mean, he
arguably the
literally
best quarterback.
it's literally a rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
It's a rinse and repeat from last year. But I mean, what are you gonna do?
I mean, the thing is that the thing that is, like, Kevin has the high ceiling, but then it kind of does drop off. Like, he has Saquon, Brown, and Jackson. Solid front three.
First five picks, dude. If you include Saquon, his first five picks are bangers.
100%. But then it drops off.
It does, but he did rack up in the first five.
Completely. I think he's lacking in the tight end, but tight ends don't matter terribly much, especially if you're playing a duo flex.
Everybody's lacking the tight end after like the fourth or fifth tight end.
I agree. But I think overall, I hate to say it, but he's just scary. It's just wow.
He is, dude. He is.
Wow.
The only thing that could sink his team is if he gets some crazy trade that he wants Jaden Daniels so bad because of his Washington fandom and just tanks his team, which could happen.
Gordon.
which for sure could happen.
Gordon. Barkley and Brown for Jaden Daniels. Let me look.
Easy.
Let me look it up. 1 sec. Yeah, it works. It works. You should definitely go for that. I want to see that in the. I want to see that in the chat. But yeah,
man.
so overall, I think that is our assessment of the draft. We are going to be releasing these videos weekly, just doing quick assessments of how the games work, how the games went, and who were the winners and who were the losers. So be looking out for that. Thank you guys so much for the first official video of the season, and we will see you guys later. Bye.
Love y'all.